I never thought a simple text could shatter the illusion I'd built around my family. But there it was, lighting up my phone on a crisp Tuesday evening in Bozeman, Montana. Please don't come. We want a peaceful wedding without any tension. It was from my mom, Diane, and right below it, my sister Brooke had reacted with a thumbs-up emoji, like kicking me to the curb was no big deal. I stared at the screen in my cozy cabin on the outskirts of town, the kind with pine walls and a view of the Bridger Mountains that usually calmed me down. But not tonight. Something inside me clicked off, like flipping a switch on an old ranch generator that's been humming too long. I typed back, "Sounds good," and hit send. Then I did what they'd never expect. I cut the cord on being their endless wallet, their fixer-upper, the one who smoothed over every rough patch while they rode high on my dime. My name's Alex, and this is how my family booted me from my sister's wedding, the one I'd been bankrolling from day one, and how I finally broke free from the chains of obligation that had tied me down for years. Let me rewind so you get the full picture. Growing up in rural Montana wasn't all wide-open spaces and freedom. For me, it was a constant grind of being the invisible workhorse in a family that prized show over substance. Brooke was the star, the rodeo queen type blonde, bubbly, the girl who could charm a grizzly bear into handing over its honey. Folks in town would light up when she walked into the local diner, asking about her latest adventure or that smile that could melt snow in January.
Me?
I was the one behind the scenes, the practical sister who fixed fences, balanced the books, and made sure the family ranch didn't go under during tough winters. Our mom, Diane, ran the household like a high-stakes cattle auction, always putting on a front for the neighbors, hosting barbecues and church socials to keep up appearances.
Dad.
Robert was the quiet type, retreating to his workshop whenever drama brewed, leaving me to mop up the mess. I became the reliable one, the organizer, the go-to gal with a toolbox and a credit card always at the ready. I'm a ranch manager by trade, overseeing operations for a big spread outside Yellowstone. I thrive on schedules, budgets, and turning chaos into order. It's like herding cats, but with actual cattle involved. People are messy, though, and I learned early to navigate that by saying yes to everything. So when Brooke got engaged to Jake, her high school sweetheart turned oil rig worker, and the family needed help planning the wedding, guess who stepped up?
Me.
Of course. I handled it all, booking the venue at a picturesque lodge in Big Sky, coordinating the caterers with Montana beef and local brews, hiring the band for line dancing, even arranging the floral arches with wildflowers from the valleys. Every invoice landed in my inbox, and I paid without batting an eye, not because Brooke earned it, but because Mom expected it, and letting her down felt like failing at the one thing I was good at, holding it all together. There was one person who truly got me, my Grandma Evelyn. She lived in a modest cabin on the edge of our family land, with a garden full of hardy perennials that survived the harsh winters. We'd sit on her porch swing, sipping kerpaltea, and she'd share stories from her days homesteading in the 50s. "Alex," she'd say, her voice like weathered leather, "being strong ain't just about hauling the load. It's knowing when to drop the reins and let the horse run free." I didn't fully grasp it back then. I figured strength meant shouldering everyone's burdens. But as the wedding prep dragged on, cracks started showing. Mom would rave about Brooke's brilliant ideas, like adding a mechanical bull for fun, while dismissing mine as too plain. Dad kept muttering how appreciative Brooke was, though she never once said thanks. At one meeting, when I suggested trimming the guest list to fit our tight budget, Montana weddings can rack up costs with travel and all, Brooke just glanced up from her Instagram feed and sighed. "Come on, Alex. Can't you just figure it out? You always do. That line stuck with me like a burr in a sock, irritating and hard to shake. I drive out to Grandma's after those sessions, letting the mountain air clear my head. She sensed the tension but never pried. She'd just hand me a pruning shear and we'd tend the garden in silence. Grandma had seen enough family squabbles to know when to let things bloom on their own. The day that text arrived, I was at my desk, finalizing the payment for the photographer, a guy from Billings who specialized in rustic shots. Sunlight streamed through the window, glinting off the silver locket Grandma had given me years ago. Engraved with "Clarity comes with courage." Funny how life hands you that clarity right when you're about to snap. In that moment, it hit me, I wasn't family to them, I was funding. And for once, it didn't crush me, it ignited something. I scrolled through our family chat with fresh eyes. It was all surface-level cheer, emojis, memes about wedding hashtags like Brooke and Jake forever. But underneath, a performance where I was the unpaid stage manager they didn't want in the spotlight. Then came the bombshell that sealed it. Mom floated the idea of a wedding weekend extravaganza to wow Jake's folks from Wyoming, think trail rides, bonfires, the works. She said it offhand, but her gaze drifted to the old safe in the ranch house, where Grandma's emergency fund sat untouched. It was her nest egg from decades of scrimping, meant for medical bills or hard times, not fancy parties. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady, "that's not what that money's for." She waved me off like I was a pesky fly. "Don't get all worked up, Alex. Brooke's only tying the knot once." I looked to Brooke, hoping she'd back me up. She just shrugged. "It's fine, sis. Grandma doesn't touch it anyway." My gut twisted. They'd clearly discussed this behind my back, plotting to dip into Grandma's savings for extras like custom cowboy hats and fireworks. A couple days later, I took Grandma to a fitting for her mother-of-the-bride outfit at a boutique in town. As she admired the simple blue dress in the mirror, she leaned in and whispered, "I overheard your mom. They're planning without you." Her words hung heavy, not accusatory, just factual. The sales lady interrupted before I could respond, but it lingered. 2 days after, it all crystallized. I swung by the ranch to drop off the rehearsal dinner timeline, steak and potatoes at the local hall. Brooke was lounging on the porch swing, scrolling her phone. She barely glanced up.
Oh, didn't expect you.
Not rude, just indifferent, like I was the mailman. Mom bustled out from the kitchen. "We're tweaking the seating. Brooke's got a better setup than yours." Better, because it was hers. Then Brooke's phone buzzed, and I caught a glimpse, Mom's uninvited text, and Brooke tapping that thumbs up, right there, casual as can be. "It's for the best," she muttered without looking up. "We all think so. We all." The words echoed like a distant thunderstorm rolling over the Rockies. Grandma's whisper replayed, "They're planning without you." This wasn't a slip-up, it was deliberate, a calculated cut. And suddenly, I saw them clearly, not as flawed family, but as folks who'd scripted my exclusion. That night, back in my cabin, I fired up my laptop with the wedding spreadsheet glowing on the screen. Rows of expenses, $5,000 for the lodge deposit, $3,200 for catering, $1,500 for the band. It read like a ledger of my own invisibility. For years, I'd convinced myself this was love. Montana style. Tough. Enduring.
No que plans.
But staring at those figures, I realized they weren't leaning on me. They were bleeding me dry. My phone pinged, another chat message from Brooke. "Mom prefers my seating chart. No thanks."
No sorry.
Just entitlement. I shut the laptop, calm washing over me like a cool creek in summer.
No te ars.
No rage, just resolve. I messaged Mom privately. Sounds good. Then you won't need my payments either.
Send.
The quiet that followed felt like the hush before a Montana dawn, full of possibility. I didn't stop there. Methodically, I pulled up every contract. As the primary contact, my name on everything from the venue lease to the floral order, I had the reins. No drama. No outbursts, just emails to vendors. Regrettably, we're canceling. Please halt all charges and refund deposits where applicable. Clean. Professional. Like closing out a ranch deal gone south. This wasn't petty revenge. It was reclaiming my space. Drawing a line in the sagebrush. As I hit send on the last one, peace settled in. Not glee, but alignment. Like finally fitting a puzzle piece that's been upside down. Around midnight, a soft knock echoed through the cabin. Grandma Evelyn, bundled in her wool coat, eyes sharp under the porch light. She stepped inside, settling on the couch with that familiar sigh. I know what they did, she said, her voice steady despite the tremor. But you don't have to haul their wagon anymore. It cracked me open. She'd endured the same from her own kin. Always the giver, never the taker. I squeezed her hand. I'm done.
Grandma.
Time to look after us. She nodded, a spark of pride in her eyes. Before leaving, she murmured, when they realize, we'll stand tall. For once, I believed it. The next few days blurred into a waiting game. I threw myself into work at the ranch, mending fences under the vast sky, the physical labor grounding me. Whispers started in town, folks at the feed store asking about the wedding, me shrugging it off with a family stuff and a smile. Montana's tight-knit, news travels like wildfire in dry grass. But I kept my head down. Then the calls came. First, the venue owner, confirming cancellation and refunding my deposit per the contract. Montana laws clear on consumer rights for event services.
No faz.
Just business. Vendors followed suit, some sympathetic, others neutral. My family, radio silence at first, then a frantic text from Mom. What did you do? The caterer's pulling out. I didn't reply. Boundaries aren't explanations. Brooke showed up at my cabin unannounced, her truck kicking up dust on the gravel drive. She stormed in, face flushed like she'd ridden a bucking bronco. Alex, this is insane. You can't just bail on everything. I poured us coffee, keeping cool. I didn't bail, I stepped back. Like you asked, she paced, gesturing wildly. We were just trying to keep things smooth. You always make everything about you. That stung. But I held firm.
No.
Brooke. I made it about all of us, until you made it about excluding me. She deflated a bit, muttering about stress and Jake's family expectations. For a second, I saw the kid sister under the bravado, scared of her big day crumbling. But pity wasn't permission to keep giving. Mom called next, her voice a mix of honey and venom over the phone. Alexandra, this is family. We can work it out. I heard the ranch dogs barking in the background. Working it out means respecting me.
Mom.
Not using Grandma's fund as a slush account. She gasped. That's not. We were borrowing. Borrowing without asking. I thought. Under Montana elder law, accessing someone's savings without consent could skirt financial abuse territory, especially for vulnerable seniors like Grandma. I'd looked it up, consulted a local attorney friend informally. No threats yet, but knowledge was my shield. Dad weighed in via text. Rare for him. Sorry if we hurt you. Let's talk. Simple. But it was more than usual. I appreciated the olive branch, but needed actions, not words. Meanwhile, Grandma and I grew closer. We'd hike the trails near her place, talking about everything from old ranch tales to my dreams beyond family duty. "You've got a good heart, Alex," she'd say. "But even the strongest oak needs room to grow." Her wisdom felt like a balm, reminding me this wasn't just about payback, it was growth. As cancellations piled up, the wedding shrank. No grand lodge. They scrambled for a backyard setup at the ranch. Jake's folks backed out politely, citing schedule conflicts. Town gossip shifted. Sympathy for me. Side eyes for them. One evening, at the local bar, a neighbor clapped my shoulder. "Good on you for standing up. Family ain't a free ride." It validated what I'd done. But deep down, I wrestled with guilt. Was I too harsh? Montana values family, but also self-reliance. I journaled it out, realizing this drama was unearthing old wounds, years of being the fixer, while Brooke got the glory. Then came the pivot point. I got wind from a mutual friend that Mom was eyeing Grandma's fund again, whispering about emergency loans for a scaled-down event. That crossed a line. I drove to Grandma's, finding her fretting over bank statements. "They're calling the bank," she admitted. My blood boiled, not at them, but at how they'd normalized this. We sat down with tea, and I explained options: power of attorney, protective orders if needed. Montana's got strong laws against elder exploitation. The Attorney General's office even has hotlines for it. Grandma hesitated. Family loyalty runs deep here, but nodded. "Let's protect what's mine." I called our family lawyer, Harlan, a no-nonsense guy from Helena who'd handled ranch disputes before. He reviewed everything: texts, payments, fund access attempts. "This could qualify as undue influence," he said. "We'll file for a temporary restraining order on the accounts if they push. Not to punish, but to safeguard." It felt right, clear, legal. American West justice without the showdown. Brooke texted again. Desperate. "Please, Alex, help fix this." I replied for the first time. "Fix it yourselves." That's the point. Silence. But seeds of change? Maybe. Weeks ticked by like a slow Montana thaw. Tension hanging thick as fog in the valleys. I focused on the ranch. Calving season keeping me busy with newborns and night checks. It was therapeutic, life-affirming. No drama. But family shadows lingered. One afternoon, Harlan called. "Your mom's been inquiring about the fund at the bank. We've got the paperwork ready." Grandma and I met him at his office in town, a brick building with views of the Gallatin River. We signed for a durable power of attorney, naming me as agent for her finances. It was straightforward under state law. Insuring no serais dips. Grandma sighed in relief. Feels like locking the barn door after years of open gates. That evening, I confronted Mom at the ranch house. She was in the kitchen, baking pies like nothing was amiss.
"We need to talk," I said.
She wiped her hands, eyes narrowing. "About what? Your little rebellion?" I laid out the facts, the POA, the protected accounts, the boundaries. "This isn't rebellion, it's protection," she bristled. "You're turning us against each other." "No. I thought you did that." But I kept calm.
"Mom,
I love you. But love doesn't mean unlimited access." For the first time, vulnerability flickered in her eyes. "We just wanted the perfect day for Brooke. At what cost?" We talked, really talked, about years of imbalance. It wasn't easy. Tears flowed. Old grudges surfaced. But it was a start. Brooke ambushed me next, showing up at the ranch with Jake in tow. He hung back, awkward as a city slicker on horseback. Alex. I'm sorry, she blurted. I didn't realize how much you did. Jake nodded. We took it for granted. Apologies are cheap. But theirs felt genuine. Born of fallout. The wedding was now a small affair at the local church. Self-funded with what they could scrape. We could have avoided this, I said. Brooke teared up.
Yeah.
I get it now. We hugged tentatively. Progress, not perfection. Dad pulled me aside during a family dinner attempt. Awkward. But civil. I should have spoken up sooner, he admitted over coffee. Proud of you, for standing tall. His words mended a piece of me. Grandma beamed from across the table. Her garden stories lightening the mood. As spring bloomed, so did healing. I volunteered at a senior center in Bozeman, helping folks navigate finances, paying forward Grandma's lessons. One day, Brooke invited me to a low-key bridal shower. No pressure, she said. I went, cautiously. Laughter flowed. Stories shared without barbs. It wasn't fairy tale perfect, but real. Harlan updated. No legal escalations needed. The POA held firm. Mom even attended a family counseling session I suggested. Montana's got resources for that. Community-based and practical. Looking back, the uninvite wasn't the end. It was a wake-up. Families like a herd you guide, but don't carry the weak forever. I learned balance. They learned accountability. And in the vast West, there's room for second chances. But the story wasn't over. Whispers of resentment lingered, testing our fragile peace. In those sessions, we unpacked decades, Mom's pressure to maintain the perfect ranch family facade, Dad's avoidance rooted in his own upbringing, Brooke's insecurity masked by entitlement. It humanized them, made forgiveness possible. I shared my side, the exhaustion of always being the rock. I felt disposable, I confessed. Mom cried. We never meant that. Intent versus impact, we bridged it slowly. Jake opened up too, admitting he'd enabled Brooke out of love. We'll do better, he promised. Small steps, they repaid some wedding costs over time. A gesture of amends. Grandma's garden flourished that summer, symbolizing our renewal. See, she'd say, clipping roses. Prune the dead weight. And new growth comes. The wedding day dawned clear and bright. The kind of Montana morning where the air smells like pine and promise. They'd scaled it back to the ranch chapel, with wildflowers from Grandma's garden adorning the aisles. I was reinvited. Really, after our talks. Not as financier, but as sister. Walking in, I felt lighter. No invisible load on my shoulders. Brooke looked radiant in a simple gown. Jake steady beside her. Mom and Dad exchanged glances, a mix of relief and regret. During vows, Brooke added an impromptu line, and to my family, for teaching me gratitude. Her eyes met mine. I nodded, tears pricking. The reception was potluck style, neighbors pitching in true Western community spirit. No extravagance. Just heartfelt toasts. Dad raised a glass, to learning from mistakes. We clinked, the clatter echoing healing.
Post-wedding.
Dynamics shifted. Brooke called regularly, not for favors, but check-ins. How's the ranch? She'd ask. Mom joined Grandma and me for garden days, her hands in the soil for the first time in years. I forgot how grounding this is, she admitted. Dad fixed my cabin fence unasked, a quiet apology. I thrived too. Promoted at work. I led eco-tours, blending my organizational skills with love for the land. Dating started, a kind vet from town. No drama. Life felt balanced, like a well-tended pasture. But tests came. When ranch finances dipped, Mom hinted at help. No, I said gently. Let's brainstorm together. We did fair, equal. They adapted, growing resilient. Grandma's health scare, a minor fall, brought us closer. We rallied. No one dominating. This is family, she whispered from her bed. Harlan closed the file. All good. No issues. Legal clarity reinforced our bonds, proving prevention beats cure. In quiet moments, I'd hike the trails, reflecting. The betrayal stung, but it birthed growth. Article in a local paper on family boundaries even featured an anonymized version, spreading the lesson. Brooke and Jake visited often. Their new home in Wyoming a short drive. Thanks for the push, she said one evening by the fire. We needed it. Redemption isn't dramatic, it's daily choices. Ours was choosing understanding over grudges, accountability over ease. Yet, as fall approached, an old secret surfaced, threatening our peace. That secret? A letter from Grandma's past, revealing she'd once cut off her own sibling for similar reasons. History repeats if we let it, she shared. We discussed openly, turning potential drama into deeper connection. No explosions, just honest dialogue.
Montana's vast skies encouraging vulnerability.
As leaves turned gold in the Rockies, our family found a new rhythm, imperfect, but authentic. Holidays were shared potlucks, stories swapped without filters. I hosted Thanksgiving at my cabin, everyone contributing. Laughter filled the air, genuine for the first time. Brooke announced her pregnancy months later. You'll be the best aunt, she said. I smiled, excited but boundaried. I'll be there on my terms. They respected it. Mom started therapy, unpacking her perfectionism. You showed me, she confided. Dad opened up more, joining a men's group at church. Grandma passed peacefully that winter, her garden blanketed in snow. In her will, protected by our measures, she left equal shares. With a note, love means lifting each other, not leaning too hard. We grieved together, her legacy uniting us. Years on, I look back, the uninvited was a gift, forcing evolution. We learned family thrives on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. In the American West, where self-reliance meets community, that's the true frontier. The lesson? Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier bonds. Forgive, but remember, grow together, or apart if needed. But always choose yourself first. It's the kindest act for all. And in that freedom, I found my own happily ever after, not in fairy tales, but in real, rugged life. After Grandma's passing, we scattered her ashes in the garden, a ceremony of closure. Brooke named her daughter Evelyn, honoring the legacy. She taught us all, Brooke said, cradling the baby. I wrote a memoir snippet for a local lit mag, anonymized, From Betrayal to Bonds, a Montana family's redemption. Readers responded, sharing similar tales, validating our journey. Challenges persisted, a ranch dispute over land shares. We mediated legally.
Fairly, no shortcuts.
Harlan guided, communications key. We emerged stronger. Jake and I bonded over fishing trips, him admitting, I was blind to the imbalance. Forgiveness flowed. Mom volunteered at the senior center with me, giving back. Paying it forward, she called it. Dad built a porch swing for my cabin, symbolizing support. As seasons cycled, our story became folklore in town, a cautionary tale with hope. The sisters who mended fences, folks said.
Personally,
My relationship with the vet blossomed into marriage, simple, at the ranch, with family present equally. The article lesson: in life's drama,
Seek humanity.
tragedies birth triumphs if we choose empathy over ego. Ultimately, the shock of exclusion led to unexpected unity. We weren't perfect, but we were real, and that's the American dream. Western style, resilient, redeemed, riding into the sunset together.